All right, hello 490 students. I wanted to put together a quick video given the fact that we are now in the first week of April. And so our semester is coming to the critical point where you're now finished with the second primary phase of the class, which is the research component. You've got your orientation, and you've done a few more exercises to build on that, including your statement of purpose and a proposal draft. And so you've gotten some feedback on that. And now it's time to do the all-important thing, which is to take all of these things into account and to present your proposal to make a presentation of your proposal to be shared on the YouTube channel. And then that will go before the faculty, who will make an assessment and recommendation, an assessment of the viability of the project, and a recommendation to me for setting you, to continue on to 491 or to repeat 490. And so the 490 proposal is the culmination of the work that you've done this semester. It comes in a written version because the capstone is a writing intensive class. So you've got that WI next to your next to the capstone, which is going to benefit greatly from the work that you've done in this class, because this has been this class is front loaded a lot with writing. And so but there's also this presentation part of it, not just the presentations that you do of the research, but finally the presentation of your proposal about how do you want to spend your 491 semester and what's that going to look like. And you're going to need to do that in as much detail as possible. And so a lot of that detail comes down to the final page of that proposal, which is your one sheet. And so we'll get into that a little bit more. But before we do, I want to make sure that everybody's clear on why the presentation is so important. And it really has to do with how it's used. So it's a video presentation now that we are thankfully at the end of our COVID sort of isolation. Typically this is done face-to-face, so students come one by one before all of the MEA faculty, and they have about 7 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes to describe what it is that they're going to do in 491, or that they want to do in 491, and to do so in enough detail to persuade the faculty that this is actually a viable project. And so that's why these conversations with the faculty all through the 490 semester with your mentors are so critical, because you already should have an idea of what they consider to be a viable project in terms of the scope, and the amount of work that that's going to require is something that those faculty can actually see. And also because those faculty, as they sit on a panel in front of you as you present, will deliberate. And so after the presentation, they'll make notes and discuss amongst themselves. And if you have done your diligence and actually communicated with your mentor, they're going to actually be able to speak on behalf of you. If you haven't communicated with your mentor, then they're going to be like talking to the other faculty who are all voting on your proposal. And they'll say things like, I haven't heard from this student all semester. I have no idea, if what they're capable of doing or what this is all about. And that's going to be not very persuasive at all, because the last thing you want as faculty is for students to completely disappear and do nothing in 491, because then that puts us in the position of not passing students in the capstone, and the capstone is one of the fundamental university requirements for graduation. And so it's a critical sort of 490 and 491 together really are a critical demonstration of student competency when it comes to self-management and acting in a professional fashion. So identifying the resources you need, some of which are the faculty sponsor, some of which are elucidated in this one sheet, which we'll talk about in a little bit. So once again, the presentation will be done not face-to-face, but you'll upload your presentation to YouTube. The faculty will have a chance to to watch the presentation, and to vote and make a recommendation to me about whether or not your presentation is solid enough to make it to the capstone, which is 491. So none of that is guaranteed, and it's all contingent on a persuasive presentation. So you've either basically done the work that we've asked you to in 490, and if you have, then it will show in the presentation, and that the fact of having done that work will be persuasive in its own right. And usually that's the level of work that is required to make it into kind of the green light, where in 491 the entire program provides everything that you would need, the time, the facilities, the technology, and the guidance to do the project of your dreams, really, as long as it fits. Some of the proposals are a little bit too big to be done in one semester, but especially students in your position now coming to at the end of 490 in May, you could have all summer long plus next semester to actually do a larger format project. And so you're in a unique position with respect to other students. Okay, so what's this one sheet and what's so important about that? Okay, this is going to be where all of your thinking and your vision sort of come down into what should be about one page, maybe about a page and a half of information that is organized in a way that can help your presentation. And so the one sheet should include the project overview, which is like 6 or 7 sentences that are a description of the project, but also identifying the resources that you'll need. So if you've got human resources like partners on the project, they should be identified and the different roles that they'll have. If you have technology or hardware resources like sound equipment, recording studio resources. We've had students that have needed to buy analog tape before because they wanted to do a digital to tape comparison. Then that is also a place for that. So it's just a little small paragraph at the top of the page that gives an overview of what is entailed, what's the project scope, and what is involved in the project. The main part of this is going to be the project calendar. And so the one sheet needs to have an overview of the 491 semester, and so all of the weeks and months that are in that semester, and give a week-by-week breakdown of exactly how will the project move along through its different phases. Now, typically phases and it'll have, embedded deadlines within the calendar. So we need to have A, B, and C done by the third week of the semester. By month 2, we need to have E, F, and G, etc. And so what do those look like, A, B, C, D, E, F, and G? Well, it depends if you're on the project track or the research paper track. On the project track, these are typically divided by what's done in pre-production, and this may be arrangement of schedules, finalization of the script, reservation of the spaces, that kind of thing, getting the big macro picture of time, equipment, place, and people together. And then after, you may spend a month or a couple weeks on the pre-production part, and then for the production phase where you're actually doing the recording, you'll need to identify when that is taking place, and the deadline for finishing production would be embedded in that calendar. Okay, so the one sheet overview of the project, and then a calendar with hard dates in there that shows when we're doing A, B, C, D, E, and F. And then for post-production, if you're on the project track, you'll want to show that you're leaving enough time, and this is actually tends to be the most intensive part of multimedia production projects, would be to have enough time for editing, synchronizing sound, overdubbing, and doing any kind of special effects you might want to do. And then if on the paper side, this might look like something like having your thesis statement prepared by a certain date on the calendar, and then doing your review of literature, which is you identify all of your research sources, and then you have a annotated bibliography where it's like you can have a condensed sort of couple of sentence description of what each of those research sources says, and then the lit review is usually a 4 or 5 page document that pulls all of that together, and you situate your own voice as a researcher within the larger context of I guess you could say, an academic conversation of different researchers who have gotten into this topic. and then do, conducting the study itself. So this is a simplified version of, what a project calendar would look like based on whether you're actually doing a project or a paper. And so once again, this is really where the rubber is going to meet the road, because a lot of the exercises that we've done have been orientation. And so you should have the ability to say what kind of work you're drawn to, what kind of stories you think are compelling to tell, what kind of stories need to be told, and why you're the right person to do that, what your tools of choice are, who are some of the exemplars that are in your field. We've talked about all of these in your writing assignments and in your research presentations. Now it's time to actually set forth your vision, and it has to be done in enough detail that, once again, it's going to be persuasive to the faculty, the MEA faculty, because they're the ones who are going to say, is this a strong enough project to move on to Access 491, where we open up all of the equipment resources and facilities resources to the best, to the students that have gotten through 490 successfully. It's as easy as that. All right, let me know if you've got any questions, and please do look at Canvas for your deadlines. The presentations should be done this week, so this is Wednesday, and so Thursday and Friday. If you need an extension, I can possibly give a few more days into the weekend, but I need to leave enough time for the faculty, the MEA faculty, to review all of the submissions and then make their judgments. So just so you know, the judgments can go in one of three different ways. One is a pass on first try. Second, the faculty may come back and identify some small problems here and there that they need to have addressed before they give a green light to moving through to 491. And then in the last situation, this is rare, but it has happened, where students have shown no progress or done basically no work, little to no work, or no work of substance in 490, and have put the faculty in the difficult position of saying, you need to either retake the class, or if you don't want to do that, this is not the major for you, because to graduate with this degree, you've got to satisfy the capstone, and the capstone is in these two parts, 490 and 491. Okay, so that's what you have to look forward to. We look forward to your work, and good luck.